everyone, this video is going to be a good one because we are going to be talking everything from where to start scrapbooking, which stories you should be prioritizing, and how to get out of a funk if you ever find yourself in one. I first want to tell you a little backstory about how I even got started thinking about all of this. So a few years back, I wanted to start a family scrapbook album that included baby photos, school pictures, holidays, and just everything in between up until the present day. I was so excited for this project, and I thought that the best way to tackle this would be to do it chronologically. My plan was to start off with childhood photos, and it was honestly going really good at first until a few months in, I just kind of started feeling tired, burnt out, and just uninspired to continue to scrapbook. And whether this was the best thing to do or not at the time, I actually decided to take a little bit of a break because I figured it would give me time to clear my head and regain my passion for doing it in the first place. And the longer I took a break, the more stories were piling up in present time that weren't getting documented. And these were super important moments for me that I wanted to have preserved. And anytime I tried to return to scrapbooking, I found it incredibly difficult to just get back into it. From that experience, I sat down and created a process to help me prioritize my stories and plan out my scrapbooking layouts so that they actually get completed. And perhaps most importantly, it preserves my creativity and my passions for doing this work in the first place. So I wanted to sit down with you today and share with you some tips that I learned from this whole experience to hopefully help you if you are also feeling stuck. My first tip is to not scrapbook chronologically. This is just from my personal experience, but I find that if I don't allow myself the creativity of what I want to create, then it leads to a lot of burnout, and it sort of puts you in a box. Also, if you're new to scrapbooking and you choose to do it chronologically, then you would never get caught up to present day. It at least would take you a very long time. And that would mean that a lot of the important stories that you have going on today wouldn't get documented until much later. And that means you miss out on the important details that you forget just as time goes on. Tip number 2 is to make a plan and to stick to it. So if we're not scrapbooking chronologically, then how should we be planning our scrapbooking layouts? I actually created a scrapbook planner and storytelling workbook where I share my exact process on how I plan out my stories. I'll link it to this video, but the methods that I share in this workbook are exactly what I use to plan and prioritize my stories and maintain my excitement while doing it. In this workbook, I share my exact ranking system, including which metrics I use to rank each story in order to prioritize them, how to set intentions and goals, tips for staying focused, and space to brainstorm and map out your pages. I also include my free page templates, which will give you endless layout ideas. Because let's be honest, sometimes we just want to mindlessly scrapbook and not have to think about what scene we're going to create. And templates are really great for this because it gives you the exact measurements and steps on how to create something so you don't have to give it much thought. So if you're new to scrapbooking or have been scrapbooking for a while, this will be really good for you because it'll give you a good starting point and let you know what your focus should be on. And once you have your plan laid out, it's so important that you stick to it. I know sometimes we can get new ideas or be tempted to start on a new project, but it's so crucial that we finish what we're currently working on before moving on to something completely different. I know in the past I moved on to different projects in the middle of working on another project, and it was so difficult to go back and finish what I was initially working on. So if I get new ideas while currently working on something, I just write it down and revisit it again later. Tip number 3 is to have a designated space and time to scrapbook. I know all of us have a ton of responsibilities, from taking care of our families, work, running errands, and the everyday chores that we may have to do, that it's easy for our crafting time to get pushed down to the bottom of our to-do list. But if we don't make time for it now, then we never will. So try to set aside a few hours every single week and make time for your crafting. Even if you can just do 1 hour a week, you would be surprised with how much you can accomplish. And if you have your own craft space, it's such a nice place to go and just get away from the world and the worries and the everyday stresses that you may have. I think the benefits of scrapbooking go far beyond just getting to document our stories. It helps so much with our mental health and just getting to use our hands and free up our minds from everyday life. Tip number 4 is to remember your why. We all started a scrapbook for one reason or another. Some of us wanted to preserve family history, some of us wanted to document our everyday lives, and some of us just wanted something creative to do with our hands. And maybe yours is a multitude of these reasons, but remembering your why and your purpose for even starting this in the first place will hopefully help you feel motivated to complete all the projects that you set out for. I know for me, I get really excited thinking about getting to pass down special photos and memories to my future family because I know how excited they're going to be to get to look back at these moments. Or I'll also think about myself when I'm older, getting to relive my most special memories through my scrapbooks that I create. Tip number 5 is to track your progress. It can be really motivating to see just how much you've accomplished, which can also encourage you to keep going. I love at the end of every single year getting to look back and see all of the layouts that I completed. And it usually makes me feel really good. There is a designated page in the workbook that I mentioned earlier for this exact purpose. Tracking your progress is also good for taking notes on things that you still need to do. Say if I run out of a supply and need to go back and add something to a layout later, I'll just make a note on the progress sheet and it's right there so that I won't forget and I know exactly what I still need to do. Tip number 6 is to embrace imperfection. And I know this one may be difficult for some of you, but getting your stories down onto paper and your details documented accurately is far more important than your pages being perfect. Not every layout has to be a masterpiece. In fact, it's okay if some of your layouts are a little bit more minimalistic with less design embellishments if it saves you time or energy. Plus, little mistakes that you make can make a layout more authentic and provide a bit of personalization, and that's just the beauty of handmade artwork, so do not stress the small stuff. I really hope these tips were helpful for you. Let me know in the comments if you have any tips of your own. I know for me, these tips have sparked so much inspiration and have given me so many more ideas of everything I want to accomplish. So if you liked this video, be sure to check out my other videos and also subscribe to my channel for more, and I will see you next time.